We're going to pick up where we left off, exploring texture. We had already completed the first 3 sections, which included fur, gravel, and wood grain. And now we're going to continue today with clouds and leaf. Number 6 will be a variety of options that you will pick from to make yours unique. Here are some tools I have ready that you will need. Your work, your sharpened black and white charcoal pencils, Q-tips for blending. If you don't have Q-tips, a single square of toilet paper works well also. The next thing that you also need is reference pictures. You could choose your own. I have provided some for you in our file on Microsoft Teams. And here's a couple different cloud pictures that I provided for you. Again, you could pick your own, but I would recommend choosing a picture to look at. We all know what clouds look like, but to avoid overly cartoonish imagery, I would like you to select a picture to reference. So I think I'm going to pick this one. And you can see here, for this one I actually chose this. So it's an interpretation of this image. It's not an exact, perfect, every little tiny detail replica. It's my interpretation of these clouds, with this as my reference picture. And then we'll also explore leaf, and you have those options as well in Teams. Here you can see I chose this picture for my leaf, and there's other ones as well, or you can select your own. So I'm going to pick up with clouds, and I think I'll work with this picture. I'll go over it like this. There we go. You don't have to print out the picture. Obviously, it's accessible to you online. Just for the sake of the video, I had to print it so I could show you. So I'm going to start off with my white pencil, and I have a square, and this is a much bigger rectangle. So again, I'm just kind of choosing what I interpret. Just starting off with some basic shapes first. That's going to go off the page. And yes, extend your drawing beyond the box edges. It gives it a little bit more life, gives it a little bit more energy, as if it's moving beyond the box, not restrained by it. Side of a sharpened pencil allows you to cover larger areas quickly. Some wispier clouds up here. Some little ones here. So I'm just interpreting what I see. I'm not pulling from my imagination. All right, I'm going to bring some black in here. Down here is pretty dark. So by starting off with some black, yes, there's black in the clouds. Same thing down here. Side of the sharpened pencil allows you to get a nice blend. These are kind of gray, so I'm going to go over them a little bit. They're not super bright white. I'm going to blend a little bit down here and pull it up. Now we're getting that nice soft look through our rendering. We're rendering with a pencil. Now I'm rendering with the Q-tip. And just kind of softly blending a little bit. Clearly I have to pick up some of this brighter white and put it back in. So typically that's what I do. I fill in a space, I add some shadow, and now I'm going to kind of look more for more bolder values and details. This is not a perfect puffy rounded cloud. It's got some little jagged edges Oh, I'm breaking my pencil. See that? It's not just a puff like a perfectly rounded scoop of ice cream. It's got some little edges to it. Get some more brightness in here. Now I might not even blend that bright white, because if I do, it might just blend it away, and I want to keep that. So anywhere that I see this, where the light is hitting the clouds, then I'm going to make it a little brighter over here. I'm going to bring that bright white into it. And that's just giving it a little bit of realism, looking at the shadows, looking at the details. This is a little brighter in here. Constantly making decisions. And if your decisions aren't what you thought, that's what erasers are for. So make sure you use it as needed. Let's see. And there's, then if you examine closely, then there's some like little faint speckles. Oh, and you can do this too. So I have this bright white, and I can take my Q-tip and do some of this and put in some very faded, very wispy, look at that, nice and super duper light that we couldn't achieve with just the pencil. There we go, that super light kind of texture. Yeah, I'm liking that. Okay, this needs a little blending in here, just a bit. All right, so that's just a little helpful start to get you going on the clouds. Remember, you can use your own picture. You don't have to use this one, but if you choose to, here's a guide for you. I'm going to call that almost done. I'm going to move on to leaf. Here's one example I did. This one here. And then here's another just practice one here, which you can see in the pictures. Let's see. It must be that one. Is that right? Yeah. So it's an interpretation, and this isn't quite done. I have some more details to do. But what we're going for is we're exploring. We're exploring texture. We're looking at details. How do you create different textures with just using pencils? That's our objective. That's our goal. And it might be a challenge. This might be something you've never done before, or it might come a little easier to some. The point is that you keep at it. And don't get discouraged and keep trying. So I'm going to go, let's see, across. I'm not going to fit this whole thing in here because this is just a square. So I'm thinking I'll branch it across like that. Always starting with my main structure. Like, what do I see first? Squeaky pencil can mean you're pressing too hard, so I think I have to ease up on my pressure a little bit. These are much skinnier on the bottom part here. Go like that. And then this one. This one's past it. It's pretty accurate. It's not an exact, perfect model, but I'm just trying to create a leaf texture being inspired by this picture. So keep that in mind. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now that I have my main structure, I think I'll come in and side of the pencil to kind of fill in. And it does, if I notice, it gets darker. It's lighter here, gets darker. Lighter here, and gets darker. So I'm just not pressing as hard at the bottom. I'm pressing here, and then I'm easing up on my pressure there. Oh, I think I need one more line down here. This top is much darker, but I know I still need to apply the white in order to kind of grade it out. So I'm going to go in a more circular direction. After this, I'll blend it with the Q-tip. And then I'll work on the values and then the details. So I'm going to go in now. Because this paper that I've chosen for you, this black paper, does have a texture to it. That's called the tooth. The tooth of the paper allows the pencil to grip onto something. Otherwise, it would just brush off. So the papers that we use for charcoal and chalk always have a little bit of a texture to them. And now I'm kind of able, you can see a difference. I haven't smoothed these two, and you can see a difference. You can see the texture of the paper. And in this case, I just don't want to. So that's why we blend. All right. I love these little corners and edges. They really just make the leaf pop out, and suddenly I feel like it's got a little more realistic look to it. So that's what I tend to put these corners of dark in next. I'm gonna finish this bottom part. You can see this line here. Yeah, this top part is pretty dark, so I'm just going to come in with a little more black. We'll see what happens when I blend it. Just a little, maybe less as I work towards the left. There seems to be a light source coming from the left a little bit. So let me do a little blending here. And then if I wiped, you can see I kind of wiped this away. I'm just going to come in and bring it back in. All right, let me get a little bit of this extra dark little edges. Helps define these veins, these details that I'm going to start next. All right. Excuse me. Okay. Next, what should I do next? How about some little fine details. So I'm just going to start up here. And I wouldn't have done this earlier. This is the right time to do it because I don't want these to be blended away. Once I'm done doing these lines, that's it. I'm not going to blend it. Because if I do, they'll just get wiped away. And I'm loosely interpreting what I see. There's many, many tiny little lines in this. So I'm just putting in some basic structures just to get the idea. Because if I didn't, I think it would look a little plain. This just adds to me a little bit more realism. We are trying to achieve as realistic of a texture as possible. Yeah, there's lots of lines in this. I think it works. It's starting to look more like I had hoped. Oh, there's some dark lines right here. Let's put those in just because. If you notice me hesitating like I am right now, it's because I'm looking at the picture. If you were to actually see me drawing, you would see me constantly looking back and forth from my drawing to the image, from my drawing to the image constantly, so I'm able to really capture what I'm looking at. All right, I'll do a little bit down here. There's not as much. It's not quite as bold, actually. I am going to brighten it up a little bit, though. Some brighter spots that need to come back. And these same, let's see, rules, these same techniques really do apply to the different images. So no matter what image of a leaf or a cloud that you have, most likely you're going to have used kind of these similar techniques. So even if I were to use this picture, I would use the same techniques. If I were to choose a different cloud picture, I would have used the same techniques. So even if you don't choose this particular one, video is just meant to kind of guide you in the right direction since you're working on your own. All right, I think that's, of course I could keep going for a much longer time, but I'm going to cut it off here just to give you some little advantage into what you're doing. Good luck. Hope it goes well. Can't wait to see your final results.